What's up, YouTube? This is Quan, the Urban Sportsman. As promised, I told you guys I was going to bring you the full weekly Michigan fishing report every week. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to break it up into 4 different videos every week. That way it's not some long 25-minute video giving you all this information at once, and you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do. Just for explanation's sake, how I'll do this is every week I start with looking at the DNR's report. I understand that their report is usually a week behind, so I take those areas, so be it Black Lake or wherever, Manistee, I'll take those areas and I'll call bait shops in those areas and get an up-to-date report and then add it to their report along with links to bait shops and inland lakes and anything else that's relevant to that area, and I put that in a full report that's on my blog, which you'll see posted below. So this one is just southeast Michigan, so that's going to cover the Lake Erie, Lake St. Clair, Saginaw Bay, Detroit River, pretty much anything in southeast Michigan. So you can see my lovely notes here. Let's go over it. For this week in southeast Michigan, for pretty much all of Michigan, I've gotten pretty much the same reports, and that is last week's cold and this week's cold front that's coming through with all the snow and everything that we're getting has not necessarily shut fishing down, but slowed it down. And just as it's true up north, it's true down here in southeast Michigan. So the first report came from the Huron River, and that came from Bottom Line Bait and Tackle. Pretty much what they're saying is steelhead ranging from 4 to 7 pounds are still being caught, but it's a lot slower than what it was last week. Those fish that are being caught on spawn bags, below bobbers, wax worms, and particularly in the deeper holes. Also in the deeper holes, they're catching a few of them on Hottentots through the holes. If you can get to those holes, they're also catching them on spoons as well. Not only are the steelhead biting, but the suckers are starting to run into the Huron River as well. So if you're interested in getting down there with some worms, you'll definitely catch suckers in the Huron River right now. That bite has slowed with the cold weather, but the fish are there to be caught if they're willing to bite. As for Lake Erie, I got my report from Just Bait and Tackle, the guy Eric over there. Eric is probably the most knowledgeable person to talk to when it comes down to our end of Lake Erie. You can't say much about Ohio, but if you're looking at the Breast Bay area, or you're coming out of what is it called? Any of the state parks down there. I can't think of the names of the state parks. Sterling State Park, that's it. If you're coming out of that area, that's the guy to talk to. You want to go over to Jeff. He knows his stuff, man. He has his minnows. He told me to tell you guys, in fact, he has both perch and walleye minnows available, and his license machine is up and running if you need your license. But here's the report. Pretty much what he said is, due to the cold and windy weather last week and going into this week, Breast Bay is a bit more muddy than what it was. It had been started to clear up, but it's gotten muddy again with the wind. I think a few days ago we had 50-mile-an-hour gust on Lake Erie, so I'm sure that's contributed. However, they are still catching walleye. They're catching walleye from 14 to 18 feet of water using darker colored stick baits. So any mill style baits, be it reef runners or bandits. In fact, he posted a picture today of a kid, I think he caught a 10-pound fish on a pink and black, if I'm not mistaken, pink and black reef runner. I'll post a link to his Facebook page so you can go and see that image for yourself to see that they are actually still catching fish. He said those fish are being caught, and those guys are trolling those minnow baits from 1.2 to 1.8 miles per hour, so they're moving relatively slow, not too fast. He said, and that's out of the Breast Bay area. If you're looking for jigging, a lot of guys are jigging around Luna Pier, the dumping grounds, which are by the tubes, and also at the mouth of the Raisin River. Those guys are jigging with bucktail jigs. Not only are they jigging with bucktail jigs, but him and also Rich over at Andy said the same thing. They're doing better when they're tipped with minnows, so make sure you're tipping those jigs with minnows, and the walleye just seem to be more apt to bite. I'm assuming it's because of the scent. With that dirty water, they're more attracted to the scent and not necessarily using that lateral line as much. Next thing he said was about perch. If you're looking for perch, the perch are in close. They are in the canals. Cold water, once again, has slowed them down, but they are there, and they're catching them on minnows. The next report is the Detroit River report. Detroit River, I'll say this. I got 2 reports on the Detroit River. The first one was from Bottom Line Bait and Tackle. He said they are catching walleye in the Trenton Channel lower end. They are catching walleye down there jigging. not so much on the troll anymore. I'm assuming it's just because of the cold weather. He said there are some bigger fish that came out of there, and that's from Bottom Line. That's not from just the DNR's report, because they didn't have much of a report, to be quite honest with you. However, Rich at Andy's Tackle said same thing. They're catching them on jigs. Jigs tipped with minnows are doing better than anything else. What he also said was the fact that it depends on the time of day. Seems like the colder hours of the day, it's taking longer for people to get their limits. However, they are getting them. It's just taking a longer time. During the peak of the day, when it's brighter and it's warmer, you might get those limits a little bit faster as a result of the warmer weather and the brighter sunlight. So that means the fish are able to see a little bit further. So that is happening. Like I said, they're getting them on jigs and minnows. Next thing, they also said, well, let me stick to walleye. They also said, well, Rich said, walleye in particular at the northern end of the river are doing really well between the post office on the Detroit side, the post office and the Belle Isle Bridge. They're catching quite a few of them from shore as well as from boats. He said there was a, not 9 pound, he didn't give me a weight. He said there's a pretty big hen caught just behind Joe Louis Arena just 3 days ago. So they are in there, and the guys are getting them for sure too. For you guys that aren't in boats, get out there. You can still get your fish. It's just going to take a little longer because it's cold outside and the water is a little bit more muddy because of all of the wind that we've gotten and cold, to be quite honest with you. He's also said that they are getting perch in the cuts and canals around the Detroit River pretty much everywhere. I know from experience they are getting them up this way. I'm at work, so they are getting them up this way around St. Alban Park in the boat launch. They're also getting them next to St. Alban Park in the old cut that goes back up to the DNR with their new building. Also on the back half of Belle Isle, they're getting perch there. If you go back behind the lighthouse, the perch are in there if you want to get perch there. Pretty much the perch are in if you're looking to catch them, like I said. But with that cold, it's just running a little slow. Next thing, Lake St. Clair. Nobody really had a report on it. Mostly because nobody wanted to get out and fight that wind. So there's very few anglers out there, so there's nothing really to report. You got shore anglers, however, are getting panfish in the canal. So perch, bluegill, and crappie, they are getting them in the canals on, bobbers with waxworms and minnows for perch. St. Clair River, DNR report says that the ice flows are over, which I can believe it because we're getting none to the Detroit River either. They are catching walleye and the occasional trout and salmon on stick baits and on jigs and minnows. As far as Saginaw Bay goes, I actually talked to the guys over at Michigan Sportsman Bait and Tackle for the Saginaw Bay, and I'll read it to you. I'm not going to just quote it because it's better to just read what he said. Only a few boats have been out from, well, actually, I'll take that back. This is the DNR's report. And the guys at Michigan Sportsman actually confirmed everything that this says, so I'll read it. Only a few boats have been out from Linwood, but those making it out did catch walleye in 15 to 70 feet of water, trolling body baits. East of Bay City and up into the Thumb, perch fishing in the rivers and cuts was hit and miss. At the Thomas and Allen cuts, the Seawang River, and on up into Bayport, fishing was generally slow. Very few perch were caught in Mud Creek at Caseville. Some lake trout were caught in the marina basins, but perch fishing was slow. Pretty much same thing. This cold weather has things shut down and slow. So if you're getting out, just keep that in mind. You will catch fish. It's just slow going, unfortunately. Like I said, the guys from Michigan Sportsman Bait and Tackle said the exact same things. What more can I say? It's just slow right now. He did say, however, if you're on the Saginaw River from the cement plant in Exesville to Smiths Park, they actually are catching quite a few walleye down in that area, but it slowed down, and also toward the very tail end of the Saginaw River, getting into Port Huron, they're catching walleye there as well, particularly on stick baits. So just keep that in mind. That pretty much concludes it for the Southeast Lower Michigan. Thanks you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe and share this video. Like I said, feel free. You'll see the links to all the bait shops that gave me information down in the description below, and you'll see the link for the full DNR, well, the full Michigan weekly report on my blog down below as well. So check those out as well. If you need anything or have any reports that you want to give, just comment below. Beyond that, thanks again. Like, subscribe, and take care of fishing.